Hey guys, it's Allie. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be making some fried chicken for you guys. So yesterday I marinated this in some hot sauce and buttermilk and spices. And today I'm going to be showing you guys how to finish it off. So here you see me draining it into a sink. I always try to use a sink for this because it's just, let's just face it, I'm kind of messy. So here's a different angle of that, just draining it into the sink. I always shake it off just to make sure that there is enough product coming off of there and you're not soaking your entire dish in buttermilk, because that way the flour will stick a little bit better. So I used every single spice in the buttermilk that I did that I'm going to put in the flour. So here you see me putting in some garlic salt. It's one of my favorite seasonings. Some Italian seasoning, some seasoning salt, Lawry's. It's my favorite thing in the world. I love Lawry seasoning salt. And just some plain old salt and pepper. Salt and pepper is always a good thing to have on hand, guys. So after that, you see all the flour here. I'm going to take all those seasonings and just mix them in. Use anything you want here. I'm just using a spoon. Just make sure every single seasoning you put in there is well incorporated. So here I have my setup. I have my chicken, I have my flour, I have a strainer and a sheet pan just to keep everything nice and clean. So I'm going to go ahead and coat the chicken in the flour. By the way, guys, always make sure you wash your hands when you're touching chicken. Every single step after you touch your chicken, you should be washing your hands and everything around you. Keep everything super clean and sanitized. So after I dredge the chicken in the flour, I'm going to go ahead and shake off some of that flour using my strainer over there that I have on top of the sheet pan. That way you don't have too much flour sticking to it and the inside will cook along with the flour. Oh, monster hands. Anywho, so here I have some canola oil. When you're frying, you can use any oil you like. I just like canola oil. I like to fill my pan about 1/4 of the way, and when you are frying, always make sure that you are not on absolutely high heat, not low, not high, right there in the sweet spot, right in the middle. So I have my little setup there. So for my mashed potatoes today, I'm using baking potatoes. You can use any kind of potatoes you like. I just like those. So I'm going to use about 4 or 5 potatoes because let's face it, it's really just only me eating and I don't want that many and that much potatoes because 5 is kind of a lot, especially when they're big like they are. See? So I'm going to go ahead and wash those off, make sure every single bit of extra stirred off there, because remember whatever's on the outside of that potato is going to be inside your mouth. So you always want to make sure it's nice and clean. I always clean it off in nice cold water. So here I have my whole setup here. I have a garbage bowl. I like to keep those on hand, my pot. I'm going to start peeling my potatoes and cutting them up. So when you peel them, I always like to have that bowl sitting right in front of me so that I don't have to peel over the garbage can or anything. There's my potato nice and clean. I have my Santoku stainless steel knife sitting right there next to my cutting board. And I'm just going to cut it right into bite sizes. So try to keep all the pieces the same size. That way they cook evenly. And I always like to throw them right into the pot that I'm going to be cooking them in. By the way, guys, always make sure that you put your potatoes in some cold water when they're raw. That way they're not going to oxidize and turn brown on you. And also that way you're also keeping everything kind of nice and compact and sanitized. So, well, words are hard. So I'm going to take this pot that I'm putting the potatoes and the water in and put it back on the stove. When I'm all done cutting my potatoes, I'll just be able to turn the flame on and off we go. So I'm going to turn that on high heat. It's going to go from cold to hot. That way all my potatoes cook nice and evenly. So my fire oil is getting nice and hot. It's all shimmery like that. So what I like to do when I don't have a thing on hand is use a spoon, a wooden spoon in particular. You see those bubbles popping up. That's how you know it's ready. So it's all shimmery. You can just see some tiny little bubbles popping up. That means my oil is ready. So use some nice big tongs. I have these ones here that spring apart just like that. Boom, magic. So when you are cooking your chicken, I always like to put small pieces with small. So I'm gonna put in my 2 wings and a drumstick right now just to make sure that they all cook nice and even. There it goes. So when you are frying anything really, you always want to make sure that you don't overcrowd the pan. I'm only going to put these 3 pieces in here because you don't want to put too much in there. If you do, it'll lower the temperature of your oil and your stuff won't cook all that evenly. So just sit there and wait for everything to cook, don't touch it. So right here I'm checking it, making sure that's nice and brown. Let's turn it over. No. We'll let it sit there for just a few more minutes. Do not touch it once you discover it is not ready. Let it sit there. So, seems to be just about ready. It's a few minutes later. Let's turn it over. And it's pretty brown. Between you and me, guys, I check it a few more times. I flip it back and forth just to make sure it cooks nice and evenly. Because when it comes to chicken, you never really know. You always want to be nice and safe about it and make sure that chicken in particular cooks super well. So here's my chicken out of the frying oil. So I like to take it out and put it on this nice sheet pan with some paper towels underneath on a rack. And once it comes out, I like to season it right away when it's hot. You can season it with whatever you like. I just like some plain old sea salt. Some people like lemon pepper, some people like garlic salt, whatever you guys like. So I have more pieces cooking here. Those are my bigger pieces. Don't touch it. When you're frying, always stay about an arm's length away. That way you don't really burn yourself or anything like that and keep yourself safe. So for my potatoes, I'm going to take about a half a cup of milk and some cold butter. I'm putting it in a measuring cup to stick in the microwave for about a minute and a half because you always want to keep everything you're using in your potatoes super nice and warm. About a half a cup there. So I have one of my potatoes here. I'm going to stick a fork in it, make sure it's all nice and done. Part of my shaky camera work. It sucks, I know. Sorry, I'm trash. There it goes. So it's nice and fork tender. So here's my potatoes all nice and drained. They're still pretty warm. I'm going to put the stove on a very low heat. Oh, by the way, guys, keep your oil on the back burner. Let it cool down before you do anything else with it. So there go my potatoes onto my burner. So I'm going to take my masher. First of all, smash my potatoes up just a little bit. All right, that looks pretty good. So from there, I'm gonna start adding things. So when you're adding your seasonings and stuff into your mashed potatoes, always alternate. I always go from milk to butter and back again, and then save seasonings for the very end because you can add seasonings, but you can't take it out. I like to go about 2 tablespoons of butter at a time. There it goes. I also like to mash my potatoes by hand, but guys, you can do this with a blender, an immersion blender, anything you have on hand as well. So here I go with some seasoning salt again. I have some salt and pepper in here, but I like seasoning salt. That's just me. Use whatever you guys like. So here I go trying them. Nice and hot. Whoa, those potatoes were amazing. They're so good, and I love the way I make potatoes.
Mom, can you say what you think of my chicken?
About your chicken, Bianca, I dare to say it's better than mine. It's perfect.
Yes, Mama!
So here, guys, I have some meals laid out. I always like to use some canned green beans for my finishing touch, only because I don't know why, they're just kind of my favorite. So I'm going to save those 2 drumsticks and wings over there for a snack later on in the week.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed this look in the kitchen with me. I love cooking, and that was honestly my first time making that recipe of fried chicken. It just kind of popped into my head and I really wanted to try it. So if you like this video and you want more cooking shows with me, please give this video a big old thumbs up, subscribe to my channel because I make new videos almost every single week. Turn on that notification bell if you love me, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye guys!